Hi all, this is lecture 13. So this is the second part on division. We've already handled multiplication. So what we want to do in this video is to take a look at division and see how we can represent that using our chips and our number lines. So let's start off with our chips. And this can get a little bit tricky if you try to jump in the way you normally would. So stick with me, but don't write any of this down for a second. So let's pretend that we're sticking with just positive numbers, right? And you would say 6 divided by 3. And this means this number here can either be the number in your group or the number of groups, depending on how you want to do it. So you're either making 3 groups or you're putting 3 in a group. So if I use this as the number of groups, then I have 3 groups and I'm putting 6 things into it. So 1. I share them, right? So 1 in each group. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and till I use 6 things, right? And then my answer is what's in the group. So in this case, it's 2. Right, so that's one way to use chips. Now, I used black just because we didn't have colored chips when we were doing all positive numbers. If you were doing it this way, you could use all white chips, right? Because positive chips. Okay, but where this starts to fall apart in particular is this one, right? If you have negative 10 divided by negative 2, that means that you have 10 red chips and you're trying to put them into negative 2 groups. What is a negative 2 group, right? That doesn't make any sense. So we have to kind of abandon the old way, right? The way that you did whole numbers, and look at it more as the fact that division is the inverse operation of multiplication. Okay, so now you can start writing things down. So what we want to do is we want to start by rewriting the problem because we have rules for multiplication. So if we can use those rules for multiplication, we can kind of reverse the process here. So if I rewrite this problem, this is 3 times what number gives me 6, right? It's another way to think about that because multiplication and division are inverse operations. And so this is what I need at the end, right? Because when you did multiplication, your answer to the problem is whatever was on the table, right? Whatever was on your picture. So what you have at the end. And then these two, the 2 factors, one represented what's in the group and one represented the number of groups. Now, the way that I'm going to do this, and keep in mind that what was in the group was either white or red chips, depending on its sign. And what's your second factor was either you put in groups or you take away groups. So it's most straightforward if we think about this number as what's in the group. Okay, so in this case, I have 3 white chips as my group. So this is what my group looks like. Now, this is not part of my drawing. I'm just kind of showing you, right? So my group is 3 white chips, and I need to make 6 white chips at the end. So if I put in white chips, then I'm going to end up with white chips on the table. Okay, if I just put down white chips, I have white chips. And so I'm going to put in a certain number of groups of 3 white chips to get 6. So down here, we're going to put in a group of 3, right? So that's put in one group of 3 white chips. I don't have 6 yet, so I'm going to go ahead and put in another group, right? So what did I do here? I put in 2 groups. And when you put in groups, that's positive. And so that means that your answer is what you did. It's the action step, which is a little bit weird here, but it works. So what you did was put in, which is positive, and you did 2 groups. So your answer is positive 2. If I had taken away 2 groups, my answer would be negative 2. Okay. And then that really has to do with the fact that I started with white chips and I needed white chips. Okay. So let me jump down here to the negative 10 divided by negative 2, right? So same procedure. So we're going to switch this to multiplication. So it's negative 2 times something gives me negative 10. Okay, and this is what's in my group. So my group looks like this. Okay, just for reference. And I need to make 10 red chips. Right, so my group is red chips. I need to make red chips. So I can go ahead and put those in. If I'm putting in groups of red chips, I'm going to end up with red chips. So I'm going to put in groups of 2 until I have 10. So group of 2, now I have 4. Group of 2, there's 6. Another group of 2 will take me to 8. And one more group of 2 will take me to 10. So now I have what I need. I have 10 red chips. Well, how did I get there? I got there by putting in 5 groups of my 2 red chips. So that means that my answer put in is positive. The number of groups is 5. So my answer is positive 5. And you know you don't need the positive sign there. I'm just being extra to emphasize that. Okay, so whenever the signs are the same with division, it means that you're working with the same colored chips that you need. And so you can just put in as many groups as you need until you have the right number. Okay, where it gets tricky is what happens when they're not the same. So let's go over here to this one. So 8 divided by negative 4. So to start, it's going to look exactly the same. So we're going to switch this to multiplication. So negative 4 times some number has to give me 8. Okay, and just like in the past, this is your group, or what's in your group. And this time it's 4 red. So my group looks like this, okay, just for reference. And I need to make 8 white chips. Okay, but my group is red chips. So if I put in groups of red chips, they're never going to magically turn white. So that same idea of putting in groups of red chips until I get 8 isn't going to work here. So I'm going to have to take them away instead, right? Those are the 2 things that we do in multiplication. If it's positive, we put them in. If it's negative, we take them out. So that means I'm going to need to start with 0 pairs. So when your signs are different, the first thing I'm thinking is when the signs are different, that means I start with 0 pairs. And how many 0 pairs do I start with? Well, I need 8 white chips, so I'm going to start with 8 0 pairs. That way, if I take away the red chips, I'll have the white ones I need. So we're going to go ahead and start with, 8 0 pairs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the corresponding white ones so that I have my 0 pairs. Okay. All right. And actually, let me think about that for a second. I'm going to organize them a little bit differently than I was doing here. And the reason why I'm organizing them differently here is because I know that I have to work with 4 red chips at a time in a group. So I'm going to organize them so that I have 4 in a group. All right. And then I want to take away groups of 4 red chips. So here's a group of 4 red chips. Take those 4 away. And here's a group. Take that away. And actually, I'm going to do it this way. So here's a group of 4 red chips. Take them away. Here's a group of 4 red chips. Take them away. So what did I do? I take away 2 groups of 4 red chips. And that means that my answer is going to be -2. Negative because we took away. And with multiplication, taking away is negative, right? And the reason that we think about multiplication is because we turned our problem into a multiplication problem. Okay. All right, let's see that one more time here with the -8 divided by 2. So again, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and convert that to multiplication. So 2 times some number gives me -8. Okay, so what's in my group is 2 white chips. So my group looks like this. And I need to make 8 red chips. Right? And so again, I need to make red chips, but what I have in my group is white chips. So putting in white chips is not going to get me red ones. So that means I'm going to start from 0 pairs. So opposite signs, start from 0 pairs. I apologize for any background noise here in this video. All right, so we're going to start with our 8 0 pairs again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, I'm organizing them into little groups of 2 because 2 is what's in my group. So I'm just trying to think ahead there a little bit. Okay. And then I need to, now whenever you circle has to be what's in your group. So I have to circle groups of 2 white chips and I'm going to take them away until I have 8 red chips left. So here's a group of 2 white, take them away. Here's a group of 2 white, take them away. Oh, sorry about that. My pen's been a little bit funky lately. And take these 2 and take them away. Take these 2 and take them away. And when I've done that, I'm left with the 8 red chips that I want, okay? So the question is, what was my action step? Well, what did I do? We take away, or took away, whatever you like, 4 groups. Right? So your answer is the number of groups that you either put in or take away. And because it's take away, it's negative. So my answer here is going to be -4. Okay. So the moral of the story here is that you're always going to switch it to multiplication. Your factor of the multiplication is always going to tell you what's in your group. Okay. And then the answer to your multiplication is what you need to create at the end. Right? And so if those 2 things are the same sign, that means they're going to be the same color chips. That means you can just put in groups, okay, whether they're red or white. And if they don't have the same sign, then you're going to have to start from 0 pairs and take away groups until you have what you're looking for.